log in. Okay, so here I'm just using Kali 2019.1 rolling release. And I'm going to wait a moment. Any ads playing? No, not right now. I think we're good to go. I think we're good to go. All right, let's get to it. So, hi, I'm Ryan, and RJ_chap, and incident response analyst. Like to dig into malware, forensics, network-based, host-based, pretty much anything on the blue side of the coin when it comes to response. I like to get into it, and this is my buddy Adam.
Hello.
I didn't see your hand. Do it better.
Hello.
There we go. All right, cool. Anyways, Adam and I have known one another for 30 plus years, since kindergarten, essentially. So, we're hanging out here, and Adam is leveling up his InfoSec game. And one of the ideas I had was basically to spin up this channel so that we could do some training and essentially just record the damn thing. So he could go back and look at it later, and I could go back and laugh at myself later when I say stupid things on the stream, which I'm bound to do. And then hopefully other folks can find it useful. Everything goes over to YouTube. It's Ryan Chapman J is the official YouTube name there. But anywho, let's get into it. So email header analysis is something that you asked about.
I did.
Wanted to look further into and test your skill sets. So I don't like to pregame, to prep for these streams. I've done 4 or 5 now, and I just want to jump into it. So we need a sample first. So if you're running whatever sim you have, whether it's a FOSS, free and open source software like the Hive with Cortex probably enabled or something cool, whether you're using Splunk with ES, whether you have your own ticketing system, whatever it is, you receive your alerts however you receive your alerts, okay? And we're going to go over here to VirusTotal, and we're going to grab an email, and we're going to play pretensies that you received this email. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Well, okay, I guess I'm going to log in. On my other screen, I'm pulling up my password manager. And we're going to log in. I have a researcher account for VirusTotal Enterprise, previously VirusTotal Intelligence. They hooked me up with it because they're freaking awesome. It's a phenomenal tool. I'm going to use VirusTotal to find an email. Let me actually sign into the damn thing. Long password, and then VirusTotal, and this is my little booger butt right there, and we'll go like this. Email address. Oh crap, not this again, Adam. I don't want to show my email address a gazillionth time. All right, can I just do this?
Are we doing this again?
I know, all right. Can I do this? All right, cool. One moment while I log in. Oh, cool. It doesn't want to copy that. All right. Cool story. Yay. All right. We're logged in. Let's bring that window back. Hey. All right. All right. So here's the regular old VirusTotal. And in the regular, community, I guess we'll call it, version of VirusTotal, you can go over to search. Oh, thanks for showing my email. What a dick. Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, whatever. All right. Everyone in the world's going to have it now. I'm not even going to edit that. I'm just going to leave that one in. So in here, you can search for, if you search for the word email, you might find a lot of the search results that you're going to find are probably going to be based on the VirusTotal comments, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to the old intelligence platform, which is now the VirusTotal Enterprise platform. We're going to go to the advanced search, and in here, I'm going to set to detections at least 10 and file type. Oh, that's right. I have to type it manually. All right. Well, this is going to give me basically, it's going to say type : document space P : 10 plus, I believe is the search is going to give me. Yep. Typed. Hi. What are you doing? Okay. That's my kiddo. Well, that was my kiddo. She's gone. So I actually don't want that. I want type email. I guess I could have just typed it in my damn self, which is what I just did now. So type email with at least 10 positives. And we're going to search VirusTotal. And here are all of our results. So here's one that looks promising. CVE 2017-1182. You familiar with CVEs?
Briefly.
Okay, so let's take a look. The MITRE group or corporation or whatever term they're actually using provides the CVE as basically a framework for categorizing vulnerabilities. There's a whole scale involved, all kinds of fun stuff, right? So I'm going to go to search CVE list, and we're going to go CV-2017- this 1182, yeah, 11882. So this is a really common one. You see this a lot. And we click on it, and here we go. So we get the breakdown of this bad boy. Oh, by the way, CVE stands for Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures. Some people call it exploits. It's actually, apparently, it's officially exposures up there. So this vulnerability is Microsoft Office 2017 and other versions related. It allows an attacker to run arbitrary code in the context of the current user by failing to properly handle objects in memory. So it's a memory corruption vulnerability. Going into exactly what that is well outside the scope of email header analysis, but I just wanted to mention that when you see these types of things, and whatever system you're searching for artifacts or samples to parse or to review, it's important to understand what they are. So let's click on this little fella, and I'm going to go to content. So VirusTotal itself, again, I don't remember the public version name, but I guess community doesn't provide the ability to do a lot of the pivoting I'm doing right here, but that's fine because I'm just getting a sample. Everything I'm doing is all going to be available with, open source public stuff. So I click on content, and these headers suck. So I don't want these. These headers are not at all what I want. I don't like that. So I'm going to close that. And we're just going to scroll down and find something else. Hoax, nah. Ooh, new order offer. A different CVE. This one's listing two. These CVEs are very closely related. You'll see them all the time in the wild associated with phishing. So Adam, let's try this one. Clicky, go to content.
30 is a pretty good detection, right?
It is. There we go. And these headers also suck. So here's the deal. To go over, I'm going to call it advanced header analysis, but I mean, really, if you can analyze the headers from I want to say top to bottom, but in actuality, bottom to top, more on that coming up. I guess that may not be considered advanced. It's just header analysis, but we're going to go over essentially every darn line, but I want a complete email exchange with a bunch of servers and stuff. What's this? Approved product list. All right, click. Content. Maybe I should have pre-gamed. The whole point was not to. Maybe I was like, oh, keep finding a bunch of poopy ones. Oh, wait a minute. This one's not bad. So there's our boundary, a bunch of X optional headers. We have one what's this go at? There we go. We've got one received here. And then we also have a received up there. Do we have, here's DKIM. Do we have SPF also? Do you see SPF in here? I want one with both. Can I just control F on the page? SPF none. I don't like that one either. Let's find a better one. I already clicked this one? I don't remember if I already clicked this one. RE inquiry, content. I don't like these headers either. Nope. All right, hold on, folks. So again, what I'm looking for is a more thorough. I want to see multiple devices in the email transference chain. I also want to see SPF and I want to see DKIM, and I'll explain those as we go over them. That's part of why I want them. What's this? Something random. Content. Ooh. Wait a minute. Couple of different receive bys. I didn't see an SPF unless I passed it up. Nope. I don't like that one either. Scrolly, scrolly, scrolly. If there's a tag for SPF, it'd be hilarious. I could just type it in. Like if I was too stupid to realize, I just type SPF and it would show up. I honestly don't know what all full text gets parsed out when you search for SPF. Oh, damn it, Adam. I'm going to train people. I'm going to show them how to use things. Let me just learn how to use it myself.
See, folks, the side note of this training session here is it is important to pregame these kind of things.
I should have, Adam. All right. Someone uploaded these from temp VirusTotal. No, that's boring. What about, what's this? Click. Content. Click, 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 clack. Ooh. Oh, I like this one. Oh, there's all kinds of receives in there. Oh, yeah, some. There's an SPF.
Some SPF.
Oh, DKIM too. Oh, boogie.
Ding.
That's what I want.
We have a winner, folks.
Ooh, is that? There it is. Perfect. I want this. Okay, another benefit of having access to VirusTotal Enterprise is that I sound like a shill for them. Huh? Like, go buy it. I had no idea how much it even costs. I'm sure it's not cheap outside of a researcher account, but I'm going to download this little sucker. You won't save it? I do. And we saved it. Let's go to downloads, right click, containing folder, right click, open with the text editor. All right. Did I put site on here or sitey? I did. That's what I want to use. I don't want to use that. I want to use this. So we're opening up an email and we're playing, where to download to? Ooh. Oh, that's the other strip. Oh, derp. Where was that? Where am I right here? Home downloads. Am I too stupid to find home downloads? All sources, all files. Damn you. There. All right, cool. Wasn't recognizing the file type. Site was like, no. All right, can I scroll in? Yeah, buddy. And then we're gonna go over here. We want line numbers. Yeah. All right, it's not color coded. Do we care about that right now?
Does that really matter to you?
No, it doesn't matter to me. Okay, so we're off to the races. So we're pretending that you received an alert in your SIM or whatever, and it's hey, this email looks bad, right? So you can have a system that alerts you, hey, that email sucks. And if that system is set up in IDS mode, so intrusion detection system mode, it basically just tells you like, hey, there's an email that got delivered. I think it's bad. And then your job is to, as quickly as possible, go identify the email, verify whether or not it is bad or not. And if it is, get it out of your user's reach. So that may include what some people refer to as sanitization, or basically just ripping the email out of all the different inboxes it may have made it to. Or if you have a system like, say, you have FireEye email and it's inline, or the FireEye EX device, it used to be called the EMPS, the Email Malware Protection System, and now it's just called the EX. Say you have one of those types of systems inline and it blocks it and you get action blocked. You're like, all right, well, it's blocked, but you can still use the information here to pivot off of, which is fan-freaking-tastic to do, because your system, for example, FireEye, may have caught 1 or 100 or 500, but there may be a very similar campaign that it didn't catch for whatever reasons. So, long story short, we have an email. We want to analyze it. This is a raw email. So what we're getting here is from line 1, we have the headers. And then eventually, down, technically starting on, where's the MIME setup? Tell you what, why don't you just control F it, Ryan? What are you highlighting? Oh, there it is. That's DKIM. Nope. Oh, right here. Oh, it's right in the first. Stupid. All right, so we'll talk about what these are. These are called boundaries. See, boundary equals this. And we'll talk about how we can use those to identify the additional pieces of the email. So before I get to that, anyways, we'll have the email itself. And it looks like we also have an attachment, which is an RTF file. Email, hold on. I'll get to this part. Let's go back to the top. All right, so we're going to start. We're going to start at the top and just work our way down. Now, one of the things about email is the first email server that sends the actual email, right? You connect with your client, whether it's Outlook, like I see. Well, actually, technically, I think this is O365 included here. Yep. Do you use MX Toolbox for cleaner viewing? Yeah, I use MX Toolbox. I use a bunch of different systems.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, it's a fantastic utility and resource. Use it. It's good. Okay. As one server is handing off an email to the next server and then to the next one, and then eventually when it reaches its destination, they all basically put their own thumbprints on the little sucker, if you will. Some of them will add what are referred to as the X optional headers, and they begin with an X dash, and X dash designates, hey, that's optional. And some of these things that I'll be talking about, by the way, I would be remiss were I to not mention the fact. Let's see, you go away. I'll leave you open, but go away. Go back into Iceweasel here and actually close out that session and go back into here. And let's open a new tab. Oh, that's weird to see my face there. I just visited the site. I was like, what the hell? That's weird.
Hi.
All right. Hi. And we're going to go to, I don't know. What am I doing? Any idea what I was doing? I just totally blanked out what I'm doing. I had a point. No, I was going to show you, I don't know. Fuck me. I just completely blanked out. A stream win. That's a stream win, not a stream fail. What the hell was I just going to show you? So we've got the headers. I was going to talk about starting off the header. Client. I was talking about clients, and we talked about O365 prod being included here. And we'll look that up. I'll look it up using MX Toolbox actually, and a couple other tools. I don't know. So I guess I'll have to come back to that. I had an idea, and then I lost it. So anyway, when the servers are handing off the email, they put their own thumbprints on it. Sometimes they'll add an X dash header. Oh, that was it. Oh. Understanding the various headers for email, one of the important things to do is to understand the RFC for email. So there are many different things, or many different RFCs that are related to email. Mm-hmm. The RFC stands for request for comments, and the request for comments comes by way of the Internet Engineering Task Force, or the IETF, and .org is their site. And there's a bunch of different stuff on here. If I just check RFC on the main page, I see RFCs. I click it, and it gives you a big old RFC index. Good luck scrolling through this damn thing. So for anyone who may not be aware, we're going to be hitting a bunch of different RFCs today, and not reading the entire thing because that'd be ludicrous. But the RFCs were originally designed because Company A, I should stop scrolling so much on the stream. Mm-hmm. Company A came out, and they were, oh, look at that. They even told me X headers. I should read the chat. That would have reminded me. Thanks. I appreciate it. The chat's there for a reason, Adam. The chat's there. I know. Leave me alone. So anyway, when networking first began, right, computer company A would make hardware and software. Computer company B would make hardware and software. And independently, those particular machines, network interfaces, and what have you, and protocols that were being used would be compatible with themselves because they were designed to be so, right? And they run the same thing. But then over time, people quickly realized, well, all right, well, if I have company X's product and you have company Y's product, we can't, like, unless we're doing things the same way, it's just not going to work out, right? We need a common language, essentially. So eventually that led to the IETF, or maybe they were technically around right before that, but it's what I most commonly associate them with at the very least. Mm-hmm. So request for comments was essentially like, if you think something should work in a particular fashion, put out a request for comments, right? So I'm researcher A. In fact, let's look at RFC 1. This will be fun. Title, host software. 1969. Let's not look at one. Let's move past that a little bit. Let's go to one of the most common ones I like to bring up. HTTP, RFC 1945, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So we take HTTP for granted now, right? When people say the internet, a lot of people are referring to the web, right? And what does the web function on? It functions on, well, technically HTTPS, but HTTP. HTTPS being HTTP over SSL. Anyway, so an example, the network working group gets together, and here's a request for comments. This one's informational. These are the researchers who took part in this particular endeavor. This one's from 1996. Every once in a while, they will also have things like obsoleted by or obsoletes. And what that means is if I have an RFC and we establish, for example, HTTP 1.0, and they were like, this is how it's going to work, right? This is it right here. And then a bunch of other researchers are like, well, let's enhance it by doing these things. Then you'll have a note about an RFC being updated for something else. So in fact, if I just keep, oh, actually, that was a perfect one. Go back up. All right, 2069. I click it. All right, here, obsoleted by 2617. So 2069 had all these folks get together. Well, there's a certain person. That's cool. And they were doing stuff, and they're like, let's do it this way. And then someone eventually was like, this way. Oh, wow. And then in this one, we see that this was, nope. Yep. And then we'll see that this one actually was usurped by multiple RFCs. And it was, even before that, actually technically usurped and updated by this little fart right there. And it obsoletes the one that we were just looking at, the original one. So just an ideas on how to understand which RFC you're looking at, whether or not it's the most up-to-date, for example. So we're going to go back, and we're going to go scroll to the top. And once again, look, email. And let's see, we got, no. Oh, that didn't start at the top. Go up here. Can I just force a start? And there we go. And email. No, we're skipping around now. Didn't I just find one for email, like right towards the top? Did I make that up?
Yeah.
It's probably not called email.
One was from 1969.
Oh, that was before I searched for email. Let's do this. Highlight here. Email. Yeah, it's searching properly. Maybe it was just internet message or something silly. Ugh. All right. Initial email RFC to Google. Email. Oh, Wikipedia. Thanks. Ha, classic. The history, blah, 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 blah. Email messages sent, blah, 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 blah. Increasingly style guides. Yep. Mail was the form used in the original protocol, RFC 524. That sounds... There we go. A proposed mail protocol. Does email show up in here? It does not.
No.
The original mail protocol does not even show email.
But does it show electronic mail? Not email.
Electronic mail. No. What about e-dash mail?
There's recorded mail. That's all that is.
Well, they're probably going to talk about it right here, saying it was usurped by a different RFC or
We could
something.
just move on.
Let's move on. All right. So anyway, we're going to be referencing these as we move along. So let's keep that in the background and let's go right up here to the top. So the first thing we see in this one is a from designation, right? So typically when you see from, there are multiple froms in an email. There's multiple what you would consider a sender address, like who actually sent it in an email. For that matter, in this particular one, we see that line 1 says from. And then we also see line 7 says, oh, by the way, from. And you're like, wait a minute. It looks like it's the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Probably just control F it and make sure. This one happens to have a date associated with it. A lot of times you don't see that in the original from line. You're like, okay. So you'll have reply to addresses. You'll have, well, we're going to get into that right now. So I'll just keep going through them and then reference back to this. Hey, dog, shush. So we have a date up here.
Mm-hmm.
Important for reading any date, especially in email header analysis. We have, what's that?
What? Oh, that's the offset. For time.
Time zone. Yeah, it's the time zone offset. So negative 0700 is where we are right now. So UTC -7 is, I live in Arizona, and we're always in UTC -7 because we don't do daylight savings because we're special. So it gives you a time and date here. All right. Next up, we have MIME version 1.0. So MIME is something that I like to look up. In 2045, I've read this up and down multiple times and probably forgot the whole thing the next day. So it was called Multipurpose Internet Mail Extensions, Part 1. Essentially, email was designed and created, right? So here's RFC 822. RFC 822 gave a standard message for ARPA internet text messages. Oh, does email show up in here? It does not. Does e-mail show up in here? It does not. All right, but this one, when they made email, it was started off as an ASCII-based only protocol, and it was only, you would send it using various protocols on top of that. So like SMTP is a common one. So the RFC for SMTP. 5321 is a common one that I go to. The simple mail transfer protocol, or what some people call sending mail to people. So anyway, for example, the SMTP, you couldn't send a binary file. You couldn't just attach it to your email because it used lower ASCII and could represent 127 different characters with a couple control characters, and then primarily the English language and digits and some special characters also, right? So they had to enhance the original RFC for email, and one of the ways that they actually did this was they enhanced the general concept of email by coming out with a MIME. So whenever you're reading through headers, you're always going to see, well, not always, but you're usually going to see a MIME version. So very common to see 1.0 for the MIME version. And we're going to get into that coming up very shortly. In fact, right now. So then we have content type. Content type says it's a multipart mixed, and it gives you a boundary. Remember we were talking about the boundaries earlier?
Yep.
A lot of times you'll see these two items right here lower. So usually you'll see them very close to right above the boundary itself. Usually it's like right around here-ish, depending on how the email servers in question decide to add them. Like, was it running postfix? Like, what was it running that actually decided, like, I'm going to stamp the email as it traverses through me, right? So in here, we see multipart mixed. And if you're like, all right, so what does that mean? Well, it's easy. That's what Google's for. So I can tell you what it means, but let's actually show you where you go to find it. If you type in content type, multipart mixed. Hey, look at that. RFC 1341. The first thing that came up was an RFC, which is very convenient for me since I was just talking about them. There's also a Wikipedia page, which probably explains it in much better English, at least. So I click on this little fart right here, and I search for it. and we zoom in.
Side note, the site that this is on is w3.org. Great training materials on there.
Yes, W3. I'm not sure if they can hear you on the mic. We might want to split the volume here. Maybe eventually get 2 mics?
Eventually,
I don't know.
Maybe.
So multi-part mixed. What does that mean? And it explains it all through here. Well, I'll tell you now that what it means is that MIME is involved, and there are different MIME types. Files also have MIME types. So, for example, if I look up file MIME type, and not that. Incomplete list of MIME types. Sure, let's look at an incomplete list. Why not, right? So, file MIME types. Everyone is probably familiar with this little booger butt right there. Text/plain. It's a textual file. A .text file will typically have that associated with it, right?
Yeah.
What about a Flash file? Flash document. The suffix is typically a .swf, but the MIME type associated as the network hardware is parsing the file. Calm down. Dog's about to go ape right now. Calm it down. Is application/x-shockwave-flash. You remember Shockwave?
I do.
Shockwave was before Adobe owned, Flash. It was Macromedia, and they had a tool called Director, and it would create Shockwave files. And back in the late 90s or mid 90s or something, I took a concurrent enrollment class at a college when I was in high school. I learned about Shockwave and Director. I learned Lingo, the programming language for it, and I just studied the heck out of it. Remember I made that game? Do you remember that? I want to talk about it. Remember the game? Yeah. This is a fun game. Whoa, you want some buzz? Anywho, I learned all about it, and then they released Flash like the next semester, and it was completely different. I relied on ActionScript, and it's been bitter to this day, and I just wanted to bring it up once again. So anyways, MIME. Multi-part mixed means there are going to be multiple different parts to the email, essentially. You're not just going to have after the headers and then raw text, or you're not just going to have raw text after the headers. There are multiple different parts that will be included. You'll almost always see it, or I guess you'll always see it whenever there's, for example, an attachment. Or for that matter, you will see multi-part mixed whenever an email contains different versions of itself for rendering. So different clients can send different rendering formats, meaning if I type up an email, and I include HTML, right? The client can send the email just as HTML, but these days it usually doesn't. It will send a multi-part mixed, and then it will send a content type. I think it's multi-part alternative. We'll see if it's in this one. I didn't check yet. And of the alternative boundary section, we'll be like, all right, well, you can do the raw text, or I'll give it to you in RTF format, or I'll give it to you in HTML. And then your client makes the decision on how it wants to render it. So when you go into Outlook, you can actually change your settings for how you want to read emails. You can set HTML for the default. Or if you want to be more secure and you go and you set it to text default, for any multi-part mixed, it will just ignore the HTML, which as a security analyst is handy, especially when it comes to operations security or OPSEC, because if there's a link in there, or for example, an embedded image or a picture, even if it's just a 1x1 pixel tracking image, it won't automatically look it up because the email is being rendered to you just in text. So the boundary that it provides, what? Oh, I'm staring at the wall. Hey. What are you doing, Tweaker? Hi.
Sorry.
My dog's just staring at the wall, like intently staring at the wall. Anyway, the boundary here is saying that the first major portion of this is going to be delimited by this text. And so if I copy it and then I just search for it, you'll notice that right after my headers, which end on line 146, right after them, there's my boundary. And it's saying like, okay, the next portion of this email is now going to begin. And oh, here we go. There's an alternative right there. Now we have, again, MIME version 1.0, super common. And then we again have content type. And what is the type? Multi-part alternative. So let's go check that page we found. Hey, there we go. This is a handy page. w3.org protocols RFC 1341. All right, so it's just RFC 1341 apparently. Cool. And it's showing multi-part mixed. It's intended to be used when body parts are independent and intended to be displayed serially. In other words, your client can select how it wants to render it, and it's going to offer a couple different options. So I'm going to come back to this a little bit later because I want to, before we start getting into the different MIME parts, I want to talk about, just the general stuff. Mm-hmm. So we scroll back up to the top. Oops, excuse me. There we go. We scroll back up to the top and we see content transfer encoding, 7-bit. Remember when I was referencing lower ASCII?
Yes.
Remember how we were talking about character encodings? And I was talking about how originally the most significant bit, I believe it was used for parity. I might have made that up, but it only used 7 bits. And therefore, there were 127 different possibilities for characters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is telling you it's 7-bit encoded, meaning that the only actual text that's going to be within this content being transferred is going to be within that 7-bit boundary, which typically tells me it's going to be lower ASCII. And I would assume if I just Google that, there you go. Well, it's the same page. Let's find some 7 damn page. Here you go, Stack Overflow. You can learn from that. Hey, stop it. Stop. That's annoying. Just gonna hear my dogs in the background the whole thing, I guess. And here we go. 7-bit encoding. My data consists only of US ASCII characters. There you go. 8-bit encoding. They may use the 8th highest bit to indicate special characters outside that. Okay. So in other words, what this really means is that it's using extended ASCII. Is it extended ASCII? Or expand? Yeah, extended ASCII.
So right there in front.
Where?
My data may include extended ASCII.
Oh, it's right there. It does say it right there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well then, yeah. Okay, so the email is only going to contain lower ASCII itself. Like everything in here is going to be lower ASCII. Okay, no Unicode characters and things of that nature. Got it.
All right, I like it.
Next up is a subject. We all know what the subject is, right?
Yep.
So the subject, request for quotation. And then we get this little fart right here. And then, yeah, so this is a very common type of ploy with phishing, request for quotes or request for purchase order or PO or, things of that nature. A lot of times they'll randomize this particular value here. Let me zoom in a little bit more. There we go. They might randomize that particular value. And so if you try to search your system for this entire string, your SIM or your log aggregator, whether it's you have Elasticstack or you've got obviously Splunk or what have you, and you try to search for the whole thing to pivot to find maybe additional semi-related or directly related emails, that's a bad idea. A good idea, however, would maybe be to just search for this. Or maybe even just toss out the dash, because maybe sometimes they use a double dash or something like that. So if you try that, you may receive too many results, but it's always good to try the more specified version first, or actually the least specified version first. And if that doesn't work, then maybe start with just grabbing some numbers of it. Or you can even then throw in a regular expression. So this is number, letter, and then 6 numbers? You could try that too. See if that brings any results. Mm-hmm. All right, we have another from designation. That's just because one of the servers was like, let's assign the from in there. Apparently at some point, I don't know. Now, this from that we're seeing is usually referred to as the display name. The display name is the easiest thing to spoof in an email. So when we see Sabir Ali and then s.ali@futurepipe.com, right? Does that actually mean this email came from, let alone that user, but of course, even from that domain?
Well, I have a question on this.
Yeah.
If you look at the first line, doesn't that look more like the spoofed one? Like you're telling this email, here, display this from Sabir Ali at this date and time. And then the following headers are the actual ones that are supposed to be there in the headers.
I'm not exactly sure why there's 2 in this particular one. It's been a while since I've seen 2 direct from lines like this. And I also don't remember the last time I've ever seen the date in one.
Yeah, that timestamp looks like they tried to timestamp it in the future. Because it was sent actually on March 11th. No idea.
We're going to get to that coming up.
Maybe I'm backwards on that.
So that's an astute observation, though. So we have a time frame difference between that. Oh, hold on. If this is UTC and you add 7 hours to it.
It's still March 2018 to Tuesday, April 30th, 2019.
Oh, it's an entirely different year. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's come back to that.
We shall.
Okay, so we have our 2-line. This is the intended recipient, at least as we know so far. Okay. And then we have the message ID. The message ID is generated by the original sending server, and it's not officially a GUID, a globally unique ID, but let's see what term they use in the RFC. Not that. Here. Addition of a message ID field when none appears. Oh, there's nothing left in that. What about in here? No. That's a content ID. What about this guy? And it's automatically generated, used to prevent multiple delivery and for reference in reply to. Yeah. So I don't know the official name that they use for how they seed these bad boys. I mean, this looks just like a date, right?
Yeah, it looks like the UTC date.
Yeah, it's just the UTC date.
March 12th at 2:24 a.m.
So different servers will use different seed and algorithms to create this. Some of them will look all like that, and some of them will have like, you know, stuff dash more stuff dash more stuff. I don't actually know the individual differences per the most common email servers, but it seems like it's something that we should look into. I want to know that. Anywho, down here we get a different domain. So now we got this pps.pr-365. Okay. So we could at this point start looking up these to see if they're even valid in the first place. So we're going to come back to that. So let's do this. Let's make a new tab. And let's put, we're going to put the from on it. Oops.
All of line 1.
What are you doing?
You okay?
It keeps highlighting it. Stop highlighting it. Stop it.
Are you going to insert or something?
I don't know. That's a weird mode. New. Now it doesn't do it. All right, cool story. Thought that was weird. All right, whatever, dude. And then let's grab the message ID and drop that sucker in there. We'll come back to them.
Yep.
Well, this is doing pretty text formatting.
Ooh, there we go.
I switched. I don't know what it's trying to format as.
Does the color coding make a difference to you, though?
No, and I'm colorblind anyway. I get it. Ha ha, I'm colorblind. Shut up, Adam. Damn it, Adam. All right, so moving on. So we've got this, and it was sent to Hoagie Kim at pernod-richard or ricard.com. All right. And then we've got our message ID like we talked about. And then we start seeing received.
Yes.
So as soon as you get to the received section, as opposed to reading it from top to bottom, you want to start reading it from bottom to top. So we scroll down, and in fact, let's go to the very bottom of the headers and make sure we catch the first one. There's a return path there, X headers, DKIM. Looks like the first received is actually the received SPF, so we'll come back to that. Here's the first received that I see. And you can even verify it quickly by just searching for received : oops, not like that.
Whoa.
I love this tool, but I forgot how it does it. It's not just hit mark all is what I wanted to do.
Not always the best general text editor.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, that's the first one that we see down here. So we're going to start reading this from bottom to top. So it's received from, and we get an IP address, 172.82.179.69. So this is a public IP address in the Class C space. It says it was sent via that particular port. Okay. And it was sent by this server, server.netcom-experts.com with ESMTPA. Oh, here we go. What's this? Exim 4901. I'm going to Google that real quick. Is that a client? Yep. Exim Internet Mailer. So if we're to believe this, which I'm inclined, a lot of times people are lazy for this type of stuff, looks like they may have literally used this Exim Internet Mailer. Current version is 492, and I guess the slightly outdated version that they used. Okay. So this would be all things you add to your notes, obviously.
Well, this is from last year, too, though.
It is.
So that could have been the current version at the time.
Maybe. And then we have envelope from. So the envelope was designated via the from, which matches what we saw above. And then we get an ID over here. And then it was sent to this person, which matches the 2 that we saw above. This is the earliest timestamp that you're most likely going to get that's going to be the most correct. The first timestamp that you have from the first server as it's in transit. So now let's start putting together a timeline. Let's close some things up here. Let's do this. Let's save this. Let's just call it, I'm going to be lazy and just call it notes for now. And I'll close that one out. And let's just call this headers or email. Oh, I lost my formatting because I did that. How dare.
Terrible.
Oh, it's not formatting it properly for email. It's just giving some formatting, and I just appreciate a little more color than just all black and white. Says the colorblind guy. Shut up on him.
No, I said we do have another option that was actually suggested in our chat.
What?
We could paste this into the header analyzer at MX Toolbox
And
give them a look at that tool as well.
Let's do that after then,
Okay.
because I want to just go by it raw text line by line first.
Let's do it.
So we will do that. All right, back to this little fart right here. All right, so that was the first received that we had. Okay, so above that, so you then want to find out, well, what's that, right? What's this site? And for that matter, what's this IP address? And is that IP address associated directly with that site, or was it just a remailer service that was using this particular mailer that used that site? These are things you can look into. So it went from this little fella right here to this fella, right? So this is the original sending server. So when it comes down to identify exactly where it came from, the best idea that we have thus far is this right here, right? Yes. However, down here, you'll notice we have a different sender IP, and we'll talk about what that is. And if there's an X-sender, we'll talk about what that is too. So from the received section, from the server to server chaining, this is the first IP that we have. And then it hit this server here, right? Then that server sent it to this server. Dead 3852. No. What's that? No. From, oh, sorry. Yeah, that's the name of that one right there.
MX0B.ppHosted.com. Next line.
Bye. There it is. Sorry. To this guy with, and there's our ID. This was TLS encrypted. Ciphers were available at the time here. 256-bit encryption. Not technically verified. 4. And then we have the same email. And then we have another time. How close is that time to this time right here? Sunday, 11, 2008. Yeah.
Oh, 1 second. Different time zone.
Boom. So 1 second off. So sounds like a potentially. What? Trying to say. Oh, like a thing? It sounds like a thing.
Immediate transfer from one server to the next.
Let's go with that. All right. So then this little fart right here, right, on that IP, then sends it over to this little guy, pphosted.com, wherever that is.
Proofpoint.
And we have, is that Proofpoint? There we go. So I wasn't familiar with that being Proofpoint. So what's Proofpoint?
It's an email security vendor, I guess you could say. That's about what I know about them.
Yep. They provide email security appliance and gateways. So maybe this is, we'll see how many other hops it takes. A couple more. There's our ID, ciphers, and then we have the time, which looks to be, yeah, okay. Where did I go? I just lost my place. No, that's good. All right, and then
28, yeah, there you go, right
by so PP hosted, we then see that used ppops.net and sent over to
pps.pr-365.
Boop. Whatever that is, PR-365. I wonder if that's, I might be making it up. I wonder if it's associated with Office 365.
Could be. I do recognize it from the message ID though. The pps.pr-365 was the domain name in the message ID.
Sweet. All right, and then you get a version here. What version would this be? For what? One of the. Let's just randomly Google it and see if it pops anything up.
Google it with PPS or Proofpoint, because it's probably trying to resolve that to an IP address.
Yeah, you're right. I was hoping to be something more fun. Okay, so then that eventually sent it over to this guy right here. Okay, so it is Outlook 365 because we've got prod.protection.outlook.com, which then makes sense because we have the -360 in it. So Microsoft then receives it essentially. And does Microsoft then send it on? So then another Microsoft server sends it out. Where's by? Oh, here. So another one that's internal Microsoft routing, which you see all the damn time.
Yep.
And then to another one. So it looks like it may have technically just been hosted in O365 land. So then you have, these are just the internal Microsoft ones.
And there was some sort of cloud-based, well, my guess is cloud-based Proofpoint service in between.
Which probably added some of the X headers that we see down here. By the way, Outlook 360 adds a gazillion X headers like every damn time. Let's see if any of them are useful. Oh, is that an epic for the boundary? They use an epic for the boundary? No, whenever it starts with 1 5, yeah, that's off anyway. I just figured I'd Google it now. All right, so we have the email chain, and then we get this little booger butt right here. Actually, I skipped.